The 90s compact trucks, in particular, hold a special place in people's hearts. Back when full-size pickups weren't bloated six-figure luxury barges, these smaller rigs were built to be cheap, durable, and endlessly useful. You could get one for a few grand, drive it to school or work, haul your dirt bike in the bed, and still wrench on it in your driveway with basic tools. They weren't fast, they weren't refined, but they were honest. And there was a lot of them. Toyota, Nissan, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Isuzu, and even Jeep all wanted a slice of the compact truck pie. For the main deep dive, I'm going to walk through the 5 trucks that squared off in Car and Driver's 1995 Baja Shootout. The Toyota Tacoma SR5 V6, Nissan Hardbody SE V6, Dodge Dakota Sport, Ford Ranger Splash, and Chevy S10 ZR2. These were the top 5 most popular compact trucks for 95, and I feel like this was as good as it gets for comparing them side by side. The order I'll be going in will be from worst to best based on that test, and will also include some more specs for each truck outside the trims tested. Furthermore, I'll go over the other compact trucks that weren't included in the test because they deserve to be in this video as well. Let me know in the comments which is your favorite. There will be a poll for you to vote in the community section, and without further ado, let's see how these trucks stacked up back in the 90s. Coming in 5th place, and this might be a shocker, was the Toyota Tacoma SR5 V6. Toyota's first generation Tacoma hit North America in 1995, replacing the long-running Toyota pickup. For the first time, the US truck had an actual name, but it was still riding the bulletproof reputation of the older Hilux-based models. For 1995, you could have the regular cab or extra cab, 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive in either base or SR5 V6. You then had the choice of adding the SX package, which was more sporty, I guess, and the LX package, which was more luxurious. Fast forward to 2025, the Tacoma now has 11 different trim options, all the way from base SR work truck to the TRD Pro. That's insane. Toyota offered everything from a 4-cylinder commuter special to the SR5 V6, packing the 3.4-liter dual overhead cam V6 from the T100. With 190 horsepower and a 4-speed automatic, it was the most advanced engine here, and on paper, it looked like the sportiest choice. Car and Driver praised the Tacoma's engine and Toyota's trademark fit and finish, but dinged it hard for price. At nearly $27,500 as tested, it cost $3 grand more than the next priciest truck and almost 20% more than the cheapest entry, the Dakota. For a vehicle meant to be an affordable workhorse, that sticker was a problem. Ride quality was another surprise. Toyota replaced torsion bars with coils up front, claiming better control, but in practice the Tacoma jiggles and chatters over small bumps, and the bed sends shudders through the cab on washboard trails. Owners even today sometimes complain that the first-gen Tacoma feels busy on rough roads compared to old hard bodies or Rangers. That said, reliability is the card Toyota has always played, and plenty of people still swear by these trucks. In 2025, these are probably one of the best trucks to own compared to the others. Many people have their Tacomas running past 300,000 miles. However, in this 1995 test, the Tacoma's high price and unsettled ride left it in last place. Coming in 4th place is the Nissan Hardbody SE V6. Nissan's D21 hardbody pickup was already aging by 1995, having debuted in the mid-80s. Built in Tennessee, the hardbody earned its name with squared-off styling, solid steel beds, and a reputation for toughness. There was the standard or king configuration, trim levels were base, XE, and the top of the line, SE, which came standard with a limited slip diff. 2 engines, either the 2.4 or 3-liter V6, which made 153 horsepower, making it the weakest engine in this test. Car and Driver found it sluggish, taking a leisurely 11.6 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour, almost 2 full seconds slower than the next truck. But who cares, right? It's not like any of these trucks are sport trucks anyway. It also rode stiffly, bouncing over every bump and sometimes lofting tall drivers into the roof. The hardbody had another weakness: safety. By 1995, airbags were becoming common, but Nissan skipped them entirely on this truck. It only offered rear-wheel ABS, which in this company felt outdated. But despite all that, the hardbody built a cult following. Owners rave about their durability. There are plenty of stories of 200,000 miles with nothing but oil changes and clutch jobs. I believe these 3 liters were also timing belt motors, but anyway, if you want to talk pure toughness, the hardbody earned its stripes. In all fairness though, these were introduced back in 1985, making them the oldest, and unfortunately the Frontier wouldn't come out until 1997, 2 years after this test was done. In third place, we have the Dodge Dakota Sport. The Dodge Dakota was the oddball of this group, not quite a compact, not quite a full size. Launched in 1987, it was marketed as a midsize before that was even a segment. Come 1995, there were a few different trims: WS, Base, Sport, SLT, and Super SLT. The Dakota offered something the others didn't: a proper V8. Under the hood sat a 5.2-liter Magnum V8 with 220 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Car and Driver noticed that it could kick up satisfying rooster tails in two-wheel drive, and it was the only truck in the group to stop from 70 miles per hour in under 200 feet. The trade-offs: fuel economy for one. At just 13 miles per gallon observed, it drank like a full-size. Its interior, with blocky K-car plastics, felt dated even in the mid-90s. And despite the power, the Dakota was heavy, over 4,200 pounds, so acceleration was only mid-pack. Still, the Dakota filled a unique niche. You could order it as a bare-bones 4-cylinder work truck, or go all in with the V8 Sport. Enthusiasts still love these for their old-school truck feel and parts interchangeability with other Chrysler products. The Dakota would get an all-new generation for 1997, so kind of the same story as the hardbody in that these were a little outdated compared to the competition. In second place is the Ford Ranger Splash. First launched in 1983, it became America's best-selling compact pickup for years, and by 1995, there were multiple trims and configurations available: the XL, XL Sport, XLT, STX, and the Splash. The XLT and STX had more interior amenities than the other trims. The Splash was Ford's attempt to grab younger buyers who might otherwise buy a Sonoma GT. They had a flared side bed, unique body colors with body-colored trim, chrome wheel covers, and unique graphics. Car and Driver didn't expect much, especially with the old twin I-beam front suspension that had given the Explorer a bad reputation for handling. Like, really bad reputation. But in Baja, the Ranger surprised everyone. With the 160 horsepower 4-liter V6, it wasn't the fastest, but it handled ruts and washboard trails with agility. The suspension actually worked well off-road, and the Splash's light rear end made it playful in two-wheel drive. Inside, Ford gave the Ranger far more creature comforts than most competitors: dual airbags, a power driver seat, even a coin holder. Owners have mixed feelings about Rangers. The 2.3 and 2.5 4-cylinders are praised for durability and fuel economy, while the 3-liter V6 is almost universally despised as underpowered and thirsty. The 4.0 V6, like in this Splash, gets more love, and I feel like the Ranger is just one of those trucks that is respected by non-Ford fans. And for number one, first place, the Chevy S10 ZR2. Chevy's S10 entered the compact truck flight in the early 80s, but by the mid-90s, the ZR2 package made it something special. This wasn't just decals or a sticker package. The ZR2 added 3 inches of lift, 4 inches of track width, skid plates, Bilstein shocks, 31-inch all-terrain tires, and fender flares. I would so much rather take the ZR2 over the Ranger Splash. You just got more for less, and they looked the part. Car and Driver called it the, quote, sports car of the bunch. With a 4.3-liter V6 making 191 horsepower, it was the quickest to 60 at 9 seconds. Again, who really cares, but when testing these trucks, I guess this was important. Despite knobby tires hurting braking and skid pad numbers, the ZR2 felt composed, stable, and most importantly, fun. It rode better on rough roads than the Tacoma, steered more precisely than the Dakota, and felt more solid overall than the Ranger or Nissan. The interior wasn't flashy, but it was roomy with jump seats in the extended cab and a solid, cohesive feel. And the price, at just over $23,000 as tested, it undercut the Tacoma and even the Ford. Value, capability, and performance all lined up in Chevy's favor, making the S10 ZR2 the clear winner in Baja. Okay, so that's how Car and Driver ranked these 5 trucks. Because I'm unable to drive all 5 in the perfect condition that these were in, how else should I have compared these? I do now want to point your attention to the towing numbers here on screen. They weren't able to test this. We can see the Nissan is at the bottom and the Ranger's at the top, followed by the S10, Dakota, and Tacoma. I expect to see the Dakota and Hardbody at the bottom just because they are older. I mean, the Dakota does have a V8, but a little surprised to see the Tacoma separating the two. Here are the prices as tested next to their base price for the 1995 model year. We can see that Tundra coming in at the priciest, but again, super reliable and hold their value, probably the best out of all these. Also, the ZR2 undercutting the Splash and getting all those upgrades seems like the better choice in my opinion. As I mentioned in the intro, it's worth mentioning the trucks that didn't make the Baja test but are essential to the story. Dodge Ram 50 / Mitsubishi Mighty Max. Chrysler's import badge deal with Mitsubishi gave us these little rigs. They were cheap and simple, but never as popular as the Ranger or S10. Isuzu pickup / Ombre. The Isuzu pickup soldiered on through the early 90s as, just like the Toyota pickup, and then later it was rebadged as the Ombre under Chevy. They weren't glamorous, but owners praised their reliability, and these were super affordable. Jeep Comanche. Now technically this is kind of like the Dakota, but I feel like the MJ deserves a nod. Built from 1986 to 1992, it was essentially a Cherokee SUV with a pickup bed. You could get it with the legendary 4-liter inline 6, and with the metric ton package, it could haul more than some full sizes. GMC Sonoma, this was just the S10's brother, mechanically identical with some exterior changes. I'm not too sure if they had a ZR2 equivalent package, let me know in the comments. Mazda B-Series, this was just a rebadged Ranger as most of us know. I'm assuming there was not a Splash equivalent, these were more bare bones. Finally is the Toyota pickup. Before the Tacoma there were these, and yeah, super durable and reliable. Looking back at these trucks nearly 30 years later, it's easy to see why they inspire so much nostalgia. They were small, they were affordable and practical in ways modern trucks just aren't all the time. You could daily drive one, haul your dirt bike, fix it with a socket set, and still get around 20 miles per gallon. Today, compact trucks are bigger, heavier, and a lot more expensive. I'm going to post a poll in the community tab for you guys to vote on which you think was the best compact truck from the 90s. Unfortunately, YouTube only allows 4 spots, so I'm going to take out the Dakota for obvious reasons, and so that will leave us with the Tacoma, S10, Ranger, and Hardbody. To make things simple, I'm just going to use the same configurations that were tested in Mexico. They are all equally compatible in that they were all 4-wheel drive, extended cab, upgraded engines, and so on and so forth. If I was shopping for a mid-sized truck in 1995, which I think that's how the poll should go, like kind of see yourself back in 1995 versus 2025. For me, I know I can eliminate the Ranger and Dakota, but the other 3 is tough. I'm curious on what you guys think, so be sure to vote and comment. That's going to wrap it up for this week's video on who made the best compact truck from the 1990s. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like. It helps me understand what you guys enjoy and what you don't. Anyway, with that said, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll try and see you all next week.